Okay, we're going to complete the square on these general form equations of conics in order to put them in standard form. And we're going to move through these very quickly. We're starting with the first one. The first one has two squared terms we are adding, and their coefficients are the same. This means that we have a circle. So I'm going to rewrite this equation up here. X squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 2y equals 0. Now when I complete the square, I need for my x terms to be together and my y terms to be together. So rewrite it. X squared minus 4x plus y squared plus 2y equals 0. If I had a number on this side, I would move it to the other side. Alright, I'm going to complete the square with the x's and complete the square of the y's, so I'm going to be adding numbers to those to make a triplet. So we'll add a blank here, and we'll add a blank here, and then on the other side of the equal sign we will put blanks in for those numbers as well. Remember, whatever you do to one side you have to do to the other. Alright, to complete the square we take half the middle term and square it. Half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So 4 is what is going in this blank, so I'll put a 4 right here. Here, half of 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So we're going to put a 1 in this blank. Now I have a perfect square trinomial here and a perfect square trinomial here. We're just going to rewrite those in factored form. X squared minus 4x plus 4 can be rewritten in factored form as x minus 2 squared. Y squared plus 2y plus 1 can be rewritten as y plus 1 squared. And then 4 plus 1 is 5. Alright, since this is a circle, I can stop there. But if you want to go ahead and put it into the same form that the other conics have, then you can rewrite it by dividing every term by 5. So I'll have x minus 2 squared over 5 plus y plus 1 squared over 5 equals 1. Alright, let's do the next conic equation. And then the next equation we are adding, we have two squared terms, but the coefficients in front of the squared terms are different. This means that it is an ellipse. Alright, so we have 4x squared plus 9y squared minus 32x minus 36y plus 64 equals 0. Alright, I am going to group my x's together, group my y terms together, and move the 64 to the other side. So we have 4x squared minus 32x plus 9y squared minus 36y equals negative 64. Now we're going to put our blanks in. But before we do that, we're going to have to factor the 4 out of these two terms, and we're going to have to factor the 9 out of these two terms. Remember that your leading coefficient must be a 1 when you are completing the square. So I factor the 4 out of the 4x squared and the 32x, and outside of these parentheses, then I have x squared minus 8x, and I put my blank in. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with the y's. We're going to factor the 9 out, and we'll have y squared minus 4y, and then we'll put our blank in. Alright, so on the other side of the equal sign, I'll have my negative 64 plus the blank for this number plus the blank for this number. Alright, well, when I complete the square inside these parentheses, 1/2 of 8 is 4. So in this blank, we are going to put 4 squared. 4 squared is 16, but this 16 is being multiplied by this 4. So I'm really adding 16 times 4, which is 64. If you want to write 16 times 4 in your blank to remind you that that's where that 64 is coming from, then you can do that. Here, when I take half of 4, I get 2, and 2 squared is 4. Alright, but this 4 is really being multiplied by this 9. So what I'm really adding is 4 times 9, or 36. Alright, now let's go ahead and rewrite this in factored form. So we have 4 times x minus 4 squared. I always leave this unsquared so that I can see what number goes here. and then plus 9 times, and then y minus 2 squared. Remember that when you're factoring these perfect square trinomials, your term gets the same sign as the middle term, all right? And then equals, and then we have negative 64 plus 64 plus 36. All right, so I have 4 times x minus 4 squared plus 9 times y minus 2 squared equals, and then I just have 36. In order to put this in standard form, I'm going to divide every term by 36. And so my standard form equation, you see the 4 cancels with the 36 here and gives us 9. The 9 cancels and gives us 4. And of course that becomes a 1. This is why I do this. So then my standard form equation is x minus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared. And the x minus 4 squared is over 9. The y minus 2 squared is over 4. And all of that equals 1. All right, let's do the next one. All right, now the next one is y squared minus 4x squared. I have 2 squared terms again, but this time I'm subtracting. It doesn't matter what the coefficients are, but it does matter that I'm subtracting. This tells me I have a hyperbola. So y squared minus 4x squared minus 12y minus 16x plus 16 equals 0. All right, we'll group our y's together and our x's together. So I'll have y squared minus 12y and then minus 4x squared minus 16x equals, and then I put the 16 on the other side. Of course, it becomes a negative 16. All right, now let's rewrite this and put my blanks in. Y squared minus 12y plus blank. But then this one I'm going to have to factor the 4 out. Oops, minus 4. This one I have to factor the 4 out. So I get x squared, and then I factored actually a negative 4 out. You see? Because it's a hyperbola. I factor the negative 4 out. That means I get plus 4x here. And then I put my blank inside the parentheses. So on the other side of the equal sign, I have negative 16 plus blank plus blank. All right. When I complete the square with the y squared minus 12y, half of 12 is 6, and 6 squared is 36. And I'm not multiplying the 36 by anything, so I can just put 36 into this blank. But on this side, when I take half of 4, I get 2, and 2 squared is 4, but I am multiplying this 4 by a negative 4. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, so this is really negative 16. All right, so we have y minus 6 squared when we put this perfect square trinomial into factored form. And here we have minus 4 times x plus 2 squared. We put that into factored form, and then we simply add the negative 16, the positive 36, and the negative 16. Well, negative 16 and negative 16 is negative 32. Plus 36 gives me 4. So now I'm going to divide the entire equation by my 4 so that I get my 1 over here. And when I do that, then my standard form equation looks like this. Y minus 6 squared over 4 minus, and then my 4's cancel right here, and I get x plus 2 squared. And you can go ahead and write over 1. That's perfectly fine when you're putting these equations into standard form, and then equals 1. And so there is my standard form equation for my hyperbola. All right, well, let's do one more, do our last one. And the last equation, you'll notice the last equation has only one squared term. This means that we have a parabola. All right, so y squared minus 4y minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. Now, for parabolas, the standard form equation looks different than from the other three conics. What we're going to do is we're going to separate the variable that does not have a squared with it. We're going to separate the variable and the number, put them on one side, and leave the y terms, the square term with its single variable, on the other side. So I'm going to say y squared minus 4y, and then I'm going to add 2x and add 4 to move them to the other side. So I have 2x plus 4. Alright, so I'm going to complete the square on only one variable. I only have one squared term. So y squared minus 4y plus, and we'll put a blank there, equals, and then we've got 2x plus 4 over here. And we're going to add the blank over here for whatever number we put right here. Alright, half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4, so I'll put a 4 in this blank. Now I'm going to put this in factored form. So this is y minus 2 squared, right, equals, and this is 2x plus 8. We are almost there. All we have to do now is factor the 2 out here, because you want your leading coefficients inside these parentheses to be 1. We don't have any parentheses here, but we're going to put some in, all right? So y minus 2 squared equals, and then when I factor the 2 out, I have x plus 4. It's very important when I'm writing my parabola equation that both of these are in parentheses if I've got, a number I'm adding or subtracting with them, and that the leading coefficient of my x and my y is 1. So here's your standard form parabola equation.